everybody. This is Jessica Emery and the Dental Diaries podcast. I have an amazing guest today, Dr. Natalia Trisna, and we are just going to dive right into her amazing background. She is the founder of the Traveling Dentist nonprofit, but has an amazing story. So welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to do this with you. It's my first time in a podcast ever.
Is it really? Well, gosh, you deserve to get this story out because, as I was just saying, there's so much to this story, to your story. Yeah. I'm wondering if we should just kind of go way back to the beginning, because you were actually looking at optometry, right?
Yes, I did. So I grew up in Australia, and in Australia, once you finish high school, you can go to dental school straight from high school. You can go to med school straight from high school, law school, everything. And initially, I was really keen on initially I wanted to be a chef, but my Asian parents said no, because they don't support creative things like that. And then I wanted to be a doctor, and they're like, no, you're going to be too old by the time you're done. And then I decided, and then I was like, okay, I'll try optometry. So I finished that. But, when you go to optometrist, you're stuck in a dark room. You don't really interact that much with patients. Sure. And it kind of becomes a lot more about sales and selling things. And I was more interested in the patient care of it. And I also wanted to do something that can really help transform lives and change lives and save lives. So after I finished optometry school, before I finished, I applied to dental school, took the GAMSAT, which is the equivalent of your
DAT.
entry. And I didn't even go to my optometry graduation because I've already started dental school by the time I graduated.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
And then, that's how I got into dental school, I guess. That's how I started the journey.
I find it fascinating. So optometry school was like your college, like your undergrad here in the States that we do before we go to.
Yeah. I'm pretty new to all the differences in education system. I didn't realize from the States, you have to go through so much to get into dental school, and also how expensive dental school is.
I was going to say the debt that stays with you here for forever and ever. And I love today, I don't know, there's so many entrepreneurs realizing that that college, that you don't, because I think for so many of us, we here in the States, we're just thrown in to college. Mm-hmm. You have to go to college, and who knows how old are we? Like 18?
Yeah. 18.
What you want to do with your life. Yeah. I mean, I think I started as a psych major and then, kept pivoting, and I was at a fraternity party drinking one night with a guy that was pre-dental because his dad was a dentist. And I was like, oh, light bulb moment. My mom's a dentist. This might be a good idea.
Oh,
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it obviously turned into such an insane passion of mine, because once I stepped into it, it was meant to be. Yeah. But it's very interesting here. Very, very different.
Yeah. And I also think because I went to school in Australia and it was so affordable to do dentistry, it allowed me to do, when we talk about our volunteering, because I didn't have that debt. I didn't have that burden of oh my gosh, almost $500,000 that I have to pay for.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, and then practice here again, when you, anywhere probably, practice ownership as well. If you go into it solo, you take on, more debt on top of the debt, and the overhead is so high. It's tremendous. So you really have to be insanely passionate about, what we do, but
which makes sense that you're older by the time you're, after undergrad, you know what you want, you commit yourself, because it's a lifetime commitment.
Right. And we just kind of touched on kids for a second too. And that's one thing as well that, when people say, how do you do it? It's like, you just have to jump. You know what I mean? You have to make it fit into all of the rest. Because with at least solo practitionership, I think you maybe work for a corporation. We'll get into that. But for me, solo practice, you have a baby and you're right back at it. You can't take time off. So I love that you have created this amazing lifestyle for you and your husband to do, all that you're doing. But let's go back again. So you went to dental school and you met your husband there.
Yeah, so in Australia, there's a lot of Canadians because it's a accredited school. So I would say right now, almost 50% of the students are Canadians because they pay so much more. So our school loves them because, they pay similar to what the American students would pay, whereas the Australian student pay a small amount. So yeah, I met my husband. We were clinic partners, so we took alginate impressions on each other.
Oh my
And
gosh, so
yeah.
funny. I love that.
Yep. And then when we graduated, he had a family friend who was a dentist who offered him a job and offered me a job too. So that's how I ended up in Canada.
So he was in Australia, you were in Australia. Did you stay for a little bit or did you go right after dental school back?
Right after dental school, we took the NDEB, which is the Canadian board exam. We took it on our 4th year. So it was a crazy 2 weeks because Monday to Friday we had our school exam, and then Saturday, Sunday we had the Canadian exam, and then Monday to Friday we had the exams again. So it was like nonstop exams, but it was good. I got it over and done with while the info was still fresh.
Sure.
And then graduated in March, and I started work in April.
Wow. That's amazing. That's that's a big jump,
Yeah.
somewhere different. So it's a good friend of his and it's more of a corporate.
Well, he was an older guy and he was kind of starting to sell his practice. I don't know if you're familiar with Dental Corp. So it's a big Canadian corporation. They own like hundreds of practices. But it doesn't feel like I'm working for a corporation. It feels like I'm working for a family practice, which is good.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So is it one of the corporations that has like individual kind of unique family style practices? Or is it?
Yeah, they try to, but there's always the concern with like turnover of staff. So
Sure.
we try to keep the amount of doctors, and the only corporation feel of it is that I can't control the materials that we get. So they'll give us whatever materials that they get deals with or something. I'm not sure.
That would be hard. I mean, for me, but
yeah, it's not for everyone. It's not for everyone.
Of course.
I like the flexibility of it.
Yes. I can see
like
why.
Like you said, if you own your own practice, you can't really go anywhere.
No, you can't. I mean, you can. For me, you create your own kind of lifestyle, right? Like that's the whole entrepreneurship. You own your own practice, which is nice too. On the other side of that, I mean, I take several vacations, 8 weeks of vacation a year, and just have made my lifestyle.
Weeks? That's awesome.
Yeah. So I love to travel too, and I want my team to have flexibility as well, and work hard, play harder. That mentality I feel like is really good for everybody. And so
I totally agree.
Created that. But you need to take breaks. My gosh, for people that don't get out and see the world, and I feel so blessed, like you, with a lot of opportunities, and having grown up where you did, and your parents, which we can go back to as well. My parents too took me to several places growing up. Like if I had never experienced Europe prior to dental school, there is no way, because it's been a hamster wheel ever since, but having a taste of something like that never goes away. And then you're just like, you have to make the time. But if you don't know what you don't know, I feel like so many dentists are burning out because
I totally agree.
They think they can't afford it. They think they can't take the time, when what they don't realize is if they just made the time, even when they can't afford it, they'll make it work. Like all of a sudden they'll put it to the universe and a veneer case will walk in. Somehow they will be able to get it done, and they're going to be so refreshed, better for their family, better for their team, and life is too short.
I totally agree. That's my point. That's the point I'm trying to make through, the traveling dentist, is that you gotta, especially with COVID now, like things change so quickly. If you want to do something, you should try to do it, because you never know what's going to happen, whatever it is.
For sure. That's the beauty to COVID. So the podcasts that I was doing really were all through COVID, right? Which, oh my gosh. Although such an awful, crazy time, I'm so incredibly grateful for that time, and what I even personally experienced, as well as so many people I've talked to, just the people being able to slow down and really like go internally, like, you know, all the pivots that are being made, and, you know, people realizing that, like slowing down to enjoy their family, and just seeing things differently.
Yeah.
That's been tremendous, you know,
Yeah.
I think. And although traveling for many is like,
I know.
I stepped back into it recently. I just came back from the Cape and I was in Charleston, and people are like, oh my gosh, you're traveling. Like, what is it like? Were you afraid? And I'm like, no, because life keeps moving. And to me, you can't live being afraid, and you have to do all of the things, but you know, you just have to keep going.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's been so good. So let's talk a little bit about when you got married, and then were you and your husband talking about the idea? So obviously you loved traveling. Do you want to go like way back to Indonesia?
Yeah.
Like your original story?
Basically, I was born in Indonesia, and there's different ethnic groups there. And in 1998, there was a big financial crisis. And because of the financial crisis, there was chaos everywhere. And there's riots in the streets, and people were targeting the Indonesians who have a Chinese background. So I'm 3/4 Chinese, 1/4 Indonesian. And people were burning things, looting things, kind of like, sadly, what was happening in the States. But they were specifically targeting the ethnically Chinese Indonesians. So my parents decided to leave, and it was really, it's funny, as a child, you think it was fun because school was canceled. All I remembered was like, oh, school was canceled. I get to spend time with mom and dad. Yeah. But I remember the part where my dad's worker picked us up in the car, and my parents put blankets over us to like hide us, because if they see that you're Chinese looking, they're going to stop the car. They might burn the car. You never know what's going to happen. Gosh. And then we just went to the airport, and then we flew to Singapore, and I thought it was an extended family holiday. And I was like, oh, it's a family holiday. I get to spend time with mom and dad. But yeah, we left Indonesia, stayed in Singapore for 3 years, and then eventually immigrated to Australia. But that whole experience, looking back, it's like, we wouldn't be here. We don't know what would happen without the help of people. So I've always been very grateful to my dad's workers who helped us, who was ethnically, they were Indonesian, so with different ethnic groups. And I've always felt like connection. I've always wanted to go back and help. And throughout dental school, we traveled, and my husband and I went to this remote island in Indonesia. As tourists, we like to go diving. So it's a diving resort. And we met a guy there who had a really bad toothache. His face was swollen. He had a dental infection. And we asked him like, oh, well, you should go to the dentist. And he's like, well, I can't afford it. The nearest dentist is 4 hours away. And then we were third-year dental students then. And he was like, oh, can you take a look? You know how how people act when you tell them they're dentists? Yeah. When you're like, can you help me? Like, no, we can't help. But after that moment, that really clicked in my mind that like, there's really a need. We're so lucky to live where we are. Yes. You know, when you live in a big city, there's dentists everywhere. You can go to a dentist any time of the day and get help. But when you live in a small island in the middle of nowhere, it becomes a really life-threatening disease. Yeah. So that's where kind of the whole idea of like my passion of volunteering dentistry started. And COVID really gave me the opportunity to think about like what I want to do, how I want to change, like how I want to translate this into real life and really create a permanent change in the world.
I love that. I love that. I have had the opportunity to do many trips to, Haiti and Nicaragua, and mission trips are, oh my gosh, like so incredibly rewarding. We were supposed to go back. I was supposed to take my team to Haiti. Actually, I believe it was this past year. Everything is so blurry with with COVID and everything, but this January, yes. Yeah. But because of everything that was going on there politically, like we couldn't, it wasn't safe to go. But yes, riding in one of those, the trucks through the dirt roads for hours into the jungle, and oh my gosh, how grateful the people are, and the children.
Yeah, exactly. makes you
Oh,
so
oh my,
happy to be a dentist. Like
yes,
for
yes,
me,
yes.
dentistry was never about like money, and we never really
Me
wanted to
too.
own practice.
Yes,
So it's
yes.
more about helping people, and you know, the smile that people give you when they're done and they're out of pain.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's so incredibly rewarding. I am with you 100. I have never either. I don't, when you practice, when you do what you love, I think money follows,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
ultimately for life. But yes, I agree. When we went to Haiti, they gave me, so like Nicaragua, for instance, and I
Mm-hmm.
had been on a mission trip even with my mom moons ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I wasn't even, maybe I was a dental student or beginning a dental
Yeah.
student, but I mean, I didn't have my degree, but in a third world
Yeah.
country, they allow you to kind of get in there.
Yeah.
And I remember extracting a tooth. Maybe it was hanging by a thread, but I remember my mom letting me get in there and like take it
Yeah.
out
Hold the
and feeling
forcep.
so, you know, amazed, like amazing with that. But like we back then only extracted teeth, but this last trip we went on, they gave me a
Yeah.
handpiece and
Yeah.
I was the one, everyone else was doing extractions around me, but they allowed me to like drill and fill, so to speak.
Yeah.
So instead of, and I have all these amazing pictures, but like cosmetic dentistry,
Yeah.
which decay in front teeth, for instance, where they would have taken
Yeah.
it out, I was able to take it out. And I mean, I used
Oh.
public oral surgery instruments, and I got super uber creative with like
Yeah.
pattern composite
Yeah.
and
With the
introducing.
luxator.
Yes. But I was able to like save their teeth, and like the pastor of like one community just like hugged me. There was a deaf
Oh.
community. I mean, oh, it was just, it's so like those memories stay with you
Yes, for
forever.
sure.
And those are those
Yeah.
life moments. So, I mean, I think it's tremendous, like what you're doing,
Yeah.
because I agree with you founding this. I believe
Yeah.
you have said, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but that, you know, people do dream of doing these things, but they don't know where
Yeah.
to go. And
Yes.
sometimes what I have also found is, you know, you might say, oh, this is a great mission trip and want to go on it. And then they're like, sorry, it's closed to this group or only
Yeah.
so many people. So
Yeah.
how did you start it? How are you, you know, developing this?
Yeah.
What will people have access to? Tell me more.
Yeah, for sure. So last year we took 6 months off work and we traveled, and I did a lot of research about the travel, where I can volunteer. So I wanted to focus more on like local organizations. I didn't want to join an international organization. I want to find those like little nonprofits or little private foundations that isn't really well known, and help directly and connect with them. So that's what I did. The internet is an amazing place. You can find
Yes.
anything if you keep going and you look through the multiple pages of Google. A lot of people just look on the first page.
Yes.
And it's also very affordable. Like volunteering, you shouldn't pay a lot of
Yes.
money to do that.
Agree.
It's a big impediment. And there's a lot of local organizations that take in volunteers. You don't have to pay for anything. I mean, you have to pay for your own accommodation, but they're not charging you lots of money for that. So during our 6-month trip, we connected with a lot of organizations, and I kind of just stayed in touch with them. And when I told them I wanted to start my own nonprofit and organize trips, group trips, and work with them, they were all so open to it, because they want to be more, they want the exposure, they want to get more volunteers. So I'm just trying to use the power of the internet and social media to try to generate more interest.
Yeah, social media is insane. The connection. I
Yeah.
mean, that's why I started this. All of the amazing women I've met. I mean, the relationship building. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, Instagram alone, let alone, you know, the
Yeah.
rest of the internet. And
Yeah.
it's amazing. But how, with these groups, because I know it must be difficult. So do they already have dental, you know, dental set up as part of it?
Yeah. So some of it, for example, it depends which country you go to. So we've got a couple of locations. So in the Philippines, for example, they already have a clinic there. It's in the city of Cebu, and they have one chair that was donated by an American, I believe, and in an air-conditioned room, which is great because it's like 35 degrees and you're sweating and your mask is slipping off. So they have one chair in an air-conditioned room, and they've got 3 portable chairs outside, kind of like in your deck. And the chair is handmade, hand woven, and you should see, I think I have a picture on my website of what the dental units look like. It's literally, somebody made it. It's a toolbox with hoses, and there's empty Coke bottles that they fill with water, and like it's completely handmade, but it works. It 100%
You have to
works.
put that on Instagram. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Just so people can see.
Yeah, it's literally handmade. It's so cheap. And then there's portable dental x-rays that I didn't even know it was possible. But the good thing about the Philippines program is that they also do mobile clinics. So for example, they can go, the Philippines is made out of thousands of islands. So if you want to visit one island in particular, because you have an interest in, say, diving or surfing, you can do a volunteer trip with this organization, and they can make everything mobile, like everything packs up in suitcases.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah. So that's the Philippines program. There's the other ones where there is a clinic established there. So you don't really have to bring much. The only thing we ask you to bring is local anesthetic. And if you want to do fillings, then bring your own composite and filling materials. So there's just different countries have different facilities.
Sure.
Like I said, I'm really especially interested in Indonesia. We also partnered up with a surf resort and a dive resort. The one dive resort has a dental chair.
Oh my gosh.
And yes, they have one dental chair. They showed me, they took pictures of all the equipment. They've emailed it to me. It's pretty incredible that they have quite a lot of tools. So you can do, you don't have to bring a lot of things, and you can go diving in the morning and then do dentistry in the afternoon.
Hello.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, first of all, now I feel like we're confusing things a little bit, but at the same time, if you can tie it, I mean, I dated a surfer for a really long time. So I used to do weekend things. So I love that diving, surfing world.
Yes.
Out there, and that would be incredible. I also would love to go to the Philippines because I have two amazing team members from the Philippines that are in the Philippines that work with me and have for 3 years on my Dentistry team. Yeah. And I adore them. Actually, one of them is in Canada now. She just finished school in Canada. In Canada. So, but I would love to get over there and do something like that. So
it's incredible. Like the people are, I mean, you have volunteered before, how strong those people are, and they're just so tough. And
I want everybody to experience it. I also think everybody will, when you say bring your own anesthetic, I mean, from our hearts, if you are going, you want to give. And I think, many of our trips, obviously, they would ask, take a suitcase, go to Salvation Army, or, I mean, how many suitcases do we have with a broken wheel or what, what I mean? Just take a suitcase, fill it up with everything you have that you can bring, that you can give. And between everybody that travels, on that one trip, and then you leave whatever you can behind for them. But it's just such a tremendous, rewarding experience that, like I said, once you do it once, you want to keep going.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just too bad that with COVID, it makes it a little bit unsettling.
I know, right? And the thing is,
but it's going to,
how much longer? And none of us know, I mean, it's not forever. It's not, even though it feels like forever. And I think all of us are like, all right, new year, just get to the end of the year. Which is amazing. It will have been a year almost that by that time it's incredible. But then hopefully, yes, we'll all pick back up and the world will be moving and traveling.
So
yes.
Yeah. Cause I've spoken to, for example, the organization in Dominican that I work with, they've shut their doors and they have to, stop temporarily. They're focusing on food donations because right now people are more concerned about food than teeth.
Right.
It's
concerning.
So it's affecting.
Those abscesses can be that. I mean,
life-threatening. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. I mean, you've seen them and it's super scary. So that's scary in itself too. Although, can they go to the hospital?
They can. I guess they can go to the hospital, but
might be 4 hours away and they don't have
hours away. Hours away. And also I think, I'm not sure if it's free because a lot of, and some people can't afford it. So
people can walk everywhere too in bare feet. I mean, it's just wow.
It's a whole nother world when you go volunteering. You just see things that are so easy for you are not easy for them.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think everyone needs a recheck. Everybody should do it.
For sure.
Plan for your 2021 goals. To get in touch with you for sure to sign up for one of these trips. So are you going to be as you schedule these trips, are you going to be leading that trip for
so
everyone? Okay,
that's the plan. Is we're going to lead the trip. My husband and I are going to lead it. We try to limit the number of people to 10 because some of the clinics we work with are small. Some clinics are bigger, so we can take a bigger group, and we try to have a mix of every type of dental professional. So we want hygienists to come. We actually want dental students to come. Even some people, if we have room, pre-dental students can come as well. Because we just want to expose everyone to volunteering. Because, you know, we talked about how as soon as you graduate from dental school, sometimes it's like a rat race and you forget about maybe, you know, other people or I don't want to say the real reason you wanted to become a dentist or something like that. Like if you want to help people, but the reality is, you know, if you have a lot of student debt, you might just be focused on working and, you know, you'll be working 6 days a week, working evenings. But if we take students and expose them to the benefits of volunteering early, maybe it'll become kind of like a lifestyle for them. You know, every year they might want to go back on a volunteering trip.
No, absolutely. And to your point, it's not expensive to do. You know, that has always amazed me. And I'm sure people get caught up more with, you know, oh, it's the production we'll be losing, but you'll never gain an experience like that. Take your team and go if you can, or, you know, like, I mean, for team members, that's the most rewarding experience, gift you could ever give them, because sometimes they haven't been, you know, it's always amazed me sometimes, you know, people haven't been to the ocean. You know,
you're right. Yeah, that's true.
It's incredible. So again, you know, traveling, like I love what you're doing too, because I just think that traveling and seeing the world and how other people live and where they are in other places is so important for sure. So how many will you be doing a year, do you think?
So we want to do at least 3 or 4 trips a year, and each trip is different. So for example, for Dominican or Honduras or Belize, it's just 1-week trips, and then other places like Indonesia, it's a longer, it's about 11 days or 12 days. So basically all our holidays will be taken up by this, but it's something that we enjoy doing, so we want to keep doing it.
I mean, that is also a holiday.
It is a holiday.
Better you can do on a holiday than go and like give back.
I agree. And we want to make this more kind of informal and less structured. So you won't only be doing volunteering. If you want to choose, you know, to volunteer only a couple of days, we can make that work for you. Because we get it. Like maybe you're off for a week. You don't want to do dentistry for 8 hours a day the whole week. You might want to do something else. You want to go surfing, or you want to go diving, or you want to go just lie down on the beach. You can do that. So we just want to make it accessible for everyone. We want to make this also like a holiday, so people stop seeing volunteering as something separate. It's something that you can do during your holiday.
Yeah, that will be hard. Well, I hope that what you find is that everybody dives in and gives 100, because I don't know, because to me that's blending two things.
You're blending.
You want to go all in with a vacation, go to your resort and do, but if you are going to commit to give back, you give 150 and you show up and you get up and, you know, you take cold showers with, you know, with whatever, but like, I think that bonding experience with the group that you're with, and I love the idea of the 10 people, because I know in the past when we've gone and traveled with small groups, we've become very close. You know, at dinner, you come back and you just feel, you know, everyone takes that cold shower because there's no hot water. Like if you're lucky, you know, to get a shower. And, you know, you sit around for dinner and just talk, you know, up through your day and really about how incredibly grateful you are. And that's why I'm just thinking, I'm like, if I went surfing or was living more of like, because what's so fascinating, because are you talking about, this was interesting in Haiti. We got there, we're in the back of, we get to the airport, they throw our luggage in the back of a truck, right? So we're all in the back of the truck bouncing around, going, you know, through the windy roads, and you see people on the streets and squatting on the street, like everywhere. And we pull into this gate, and it's like a resort of sorts. I mean, where we're going to be staying. Now the rooms, of course, no AC, really, no anything in cold water and all of that, but it felt odd.
Yeah.
Where in Nicaragua, the pastor would leave, we'd go into the jungle. I said the pastor of that community would leave and give us his quote unquote house that would be a dirt floor. And maybe there are chickens running through it, and you look up and you see the stars through the roof. I mean, and to me, that experience is like amazing. So like, last year with Haiti, I'm like, this feels odd. There's a pool looking over.
You feel guilty?
I felt, doesn't feel right that you're coming in from that. And then, living, like I said, a so while you're there. That's a personal thing though. For me.
I totally get it. Like we just try to, I totally agree with what you say. With once you volunteer, you just want to keep doing it. That's how I felt too. Like my husband and I, when we were in a 6-month trip, we said, okay, in this one place, we'll volunteer 1 week. But after 1 week is over, you're like, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. I need to keep doing this, or we need to keep doing it. That you need to help more people. Yes. And that's good for us because we love doing that. But some people, volunteer is not for everyone. Right. And some people don't want to do that. Right. So before setting up this website, we did a survey just to find out what people would want out of a volunteering trip. So we did the survey on dentists, dental students, dental hygienists, and we just asked them a number of questions. And one of the questions is, out of a 1-week trip, how many days do you want to volunteer? Some people would say they want to volunteer the whole time, but I would say on average, they say they want to volunteer 3 days. And you kind of have to respect that. Like everyone's different. Not everyone has that burning passion to help others. And if the way I thought about it is, if I try to make this accessible for people, more people might want to do it. And maybe when they do a trip, they do a trip where they volunteer a couple of days, the next time they want to do it the whole week. Right. It's all about like trying to expose people into that kind of world, because not everyone wants to stay on a dirt floor and take cold showers. Yeah.
Of course. I didn't think I would either, but then sometimes you have to step out of your element. Yeah, you have to step in and do things, fight your fear and do things that you wouldn't do, because that's how you grow.
Exactly.
And like I said, giving back, to me, when you put that out to the universe, it comes back to you tenfold. So
I totally agree with that. Yeah.
It's so important. And that's interesting. And that's a real fascinating and smart concept. And I love that you polled people and did that survey to see what people wanted, because you're giving people what they want, which is ultimately the way to go. And what you may find is that people feel that they absolutely love it, and they thought they wanted to go surfing, but they would rather go to the clinic that day. Yeah. And
we're also thinking about like what the clinic wants. So it's not all about what volunteers want, but we also ask the clinic, like, what do you need? Because for example, if there's only 2 dental chairs, they only need about 4 people. So if I have 10 people, we can do shifts. And then we service the clinic to the full capacity and help as many people as possible, but then you don't need to volunteer that whole time. So that's kind of what we're trying to do as well.
I mean, everyone I've went on, there's always a line. They hear you're coming and sunset, and you have to turn people away, and it's like devastating, especially if you can't come back or it's the last day. And then sometimes you have to triage who is, worse, case scenario to bring them forward. And gosh, it's amazing. You have me like thinking about all of it now and wanting to go and do it for sure.
Yeah. So did you do your trips through the church, you said? Or like you said?
No, they're all through, like, I'm not affiliated at all. But people I have known through dentistry have started different kind of, like nonprofits and done things like this. The mission trip, like Nicaragua, that I did years ago was a friend of my mom's from Tufts that had started that. And so I kind of just have latched on, like, so for me, because I'm so busy, right? Like, in all of that stuff, like, I love it. I love, if someone else has done it, like you have started, I'm like, I'm in. I would love to go.
A lot of people are like that. They're like,
right, exactly. And that's what's so great, because I wouldn't have known if I wasn't kind of asked, or people, through, I have a private, especially Facebook, right? Like, and I'm not a fan of Facebook. I'm definitely an Instagram girl, but I do have a couple private pages, one called the Dental Confidential, which is a specific group of people. And that one of the dentists in that group is the one that runs the one for Haiti. And so, and through him talking about it and asking us, I think even just through our group of 100 people, he already had his group of 10, our 14 going. So, and then I was like, I'm a lifer. I'll go every year. I mean, for sure. And like I said, that was my commitment and my goal. But then unfortunately, like I said, we couldn't go. When we left last year is when like riots broke out and cars were being flipped and burned. And it was, scary in that regard. More so for my husband, was just like, oh, like I'm glad, or me, I'm like, you got to keep, things happen every day, everywhere, all the time.
Yeah.
Again, you just have to show up and do your thing. And
and you're so right with when you said about, some people just want it all organized and they'll be like, yep, I'll go. Because that's that in our survey, that's the number 2 thing is they don't want to organize it. Like they don't want to think about the logistics of anything. They just want to show up and do their thing. That's what we're trying to do as well. Make it as easy as possible.
That's tremendous.
So we'll organize everything.
Yeah. Today, time is so valuable for everybody. I mean, that's why, that is going to be kind of like an all-inclusive service, like that, like you're creating, and then, I think this is going to blow up. I just think it's going to be incredible.
I hope so. I mean, it's just my husband and I, so we want to just do our best to help people. And hopefully a lot of people are interested in this. So like, for example, my husband and I have so many different interests. Like we like surfing, we like kite surfing, diving, we like hiking. So a lot of the places we go to, there's an aspect of fun that you can do. So if you don't want to volunteer all the time, which you absolutely can if you want to, there's other things to do. Because for example, if you have a spouse, if you have a partner who's not in dentistry, maybe they don't want to just watch you do your thing, or maybe they might not be so keen on a volunteering trip if there's no aspect of fun for them, unless you have a super understanding partner.
Of course, which hopefully we all do. I wanted to bring my kids when I left.
Yes, and Haiti, a lot of people have kids too.
Oh my God. I was like, my kids are coming back here. And they can stay and play, but just the drive alone and seeing kids. I mean, our children here are so freaking spoiled, and I was so frustrated, like coming home to the fact, if they would say the wrong thing, I'm like, you don't even know the kid.
Yeah, you don't know how lucky you are.
They play with oh my God, like a little jack on the ground is like their toy, forever. And oh my gosh, just so incredibly grateful. And I just I want my kids to, to be really
a part of it.
Too.
And that's another thing is like, we want to make programs that are family friendly. So for example, like in one of our programs in Indonesia as well, but it's in the island of Sumba. And this island, actually the hotel is owned by Chris Birch, who's the Tory Birch's ex-husband, I think. So it's a really amazing resort, but they have a private foundation that's affiliated with it. And there's a dental clinic 10 minutes away from the resort. And there's lots of different programs. So one of the programs they have is the school lunch program, where malnutrition is a big issue there because there's not enough food for everyone. So they will make food and you can volunteer to give food to the kids at school. And it's something that your kids can participate in. While you're doing one type of volunteering, you're exposing your children to another type of volunteering, helping others and interacting with other kids in the area. It's just amazing.
I need a DM when that one comes up, because I'm all over that. I would pull my kids out of school here for, a trip like that, because again, world experiences to me are second to none. And I think that's really, really important.
So we want to create, go to places that are safe, family friendly. You don't have to go in the back of a truck, like you said, bumpy road. It's still remote, but it's safe and family friendly and tourist friendly. And we want the kids, to be involved as well.
That's amazing.
So those are the things that we're trying to do, is because we want to involve the whole family and kind of, transform your way of thinking, like what is a holiday and what is a volunteering trip. It can exist together. It doesn't have to be two separate things.
Sure. So if you guys have a goal for your family, is it going to be to like have them on the backpacks and like bringing them
basically, yes. Every time when we go hiking and we see families like that, we're like, that's going to be us one day.
Yes. Yes. I said that was going to be me too. I was like, nothing's
Who knows?
Change. I know, but you know what? But you're so, like I said, so strongly invested in this is your world and your future, and like you're going to make it happen, and it will just the babes will fit right into that picture, and you'll grow together with those experiences. I mean, the world's your oyster too. You could end up just doing this all the time and continue to travel and just school them. To me, there's like, again, no better education than traveling the world as a kid and like learning different cultures and all of that stuff. Oh my gosh. So
it's
good.
Much better than online school or whatever's been happening right now.
Where mom is getting on Google to try to learn math and like whatever. Give me a break. It was so crazy during that time. I do wonder, and you think about parents too that were both working and home, like how people got it done or didn't have the education. I mean, I don't know the kids with what happened and where it's going back to school. But yes, like traveling would be everything for sure. So are you going to take your on your website then? You just launched your website. Can you tell people where to find you?
It's thetravelingdentist.org.
.org. Okay, and we'll put that in your.
And it's dentist with an S, because sometimes my friends would they would spell it wrong, and then like it's not working.
I noticed that.
Spelling it wrong.
Isn't it the Canadian thing? Sometimes you guys spell.
Yes, so traveling is with double L.
Yes, I noticed. That. I even thought, I was like, is that spelled? I had to look at it a couple times.
I had to consult my friend who is in editing. She's an editor, and then she was like, no, it's the Canadian spelling. It's double L. You have to do double L.
Australia, you guys do it differently too. And it's funny too. I read it and I'm like, oh, Cambridge and London. And my husband's from England. So I'm like, oh, England. And then I'm like, oh no, it's Canada.
Ontario.
I know. It's so funny. But so with the spelling, we'll make sure that we write it, so we write it out so that people can, so with the podcast show notes. Yeah.
And all the information's on the website. I'm such a detail-oriented person. I literally wrote down like a sample itinerary, because when I'm looking for a trip, I want to get as many details as possible.
Love it.
And the dates, I have some dates there. It's quite ambitious. So the first trip I want to go to is in January to Dominican Republic. But I don't know if that's going to happen. So the dates, unfortunately, are tentative right now. But we'll see what happens. I'm trying to stay positive.
Set the goals, right? You set the goalposts, like typically it will happen, and hopefully, yes, fingers crossed that the world kind of opens back up and this goes away.
Yeah.
We can do like all of the things. But I love that, because I think as dentists, so many of us are so crazily detail oriented.
Yes.
For me too, it's like I need everything in front of me, and that's why I have a personal assistant too, because it's like my calendar and like details and notes, because I just have so many moving parts. And if I'm doing the dentistry, I need to make sure that everything around me is at least organized.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's amazing. You have an assistant.
Oh my gosh, I have to. And of course, this is like years in, and because of multiple businesses, of course, or I wouldn't. It is a luxury. Yes. But once I stepped into it for, like I said, 5 years ago, there's just no looking back after that, because you're so taken care of with so many things. And then 3 kids too, whether I need a birthday gift or I need just anything from personal to business, they're able to set up things and just make, that way it makes it happen. Like I can just show up and get it done, which is wonderful. Or come up with the ideas. They always say that if you're a visionary, and you're kind of up in the clouds, like you should stay there, but you need a strategist or an executor behind you, kind of like, getting everything locked into it. So it works.
My husband's the idea guy and I'm the execution person.
See how that works? Totally. See, I'm a dreamer, visionary. My ideas are insane, but I have too many and I pivot all the time. So if I didn't have like that strategist making it happen, I don't know, I'd be on to my next thing. I mean, every time I travel, my soiree team will be like, please don't come back with another Instagram handle, because my brain just starts going somewhere and I'm like, wouldn't this would be a great idea and we should do this and that. And It's so funny. So fortunately for the strategist type like you will be like, let's stay on this project and just nail it first.
Yeah, well, I actually had to cut down on the detail on the website because my husband's like, nobody needs to know this. No one is interested in this. Because I would write such detailed things. You're like, you need to cut it down.
Oh, that's funny. See, I don't know. I like the detail too, but you're right. Like, I suppose just to go through, and then Instagram, where people can find you, the traveling dentist. Can you spell that out? Because it's got the 2 L's.
It's the _ traveling _ traveling dentist. Because the traveling dentist is already taken. This is such a popular thing.
Isn't that crazy? Names and how, I think I was the first dental diaries, like so many moons, 10 years ago, I don't know, so long ago. And since then, I think the dental diaries comes up with every single underscore, dots, like everything.
Every possible combination.
Yes, it's so hard.
You have to be one of the original people to get those good names,
right? Or come up with an original, or a name too. But I do love, I mean, obviously that says everything. You want something easy that speaks to what you're doing, and that is what you're doing. To get the word out,
And I'm also open to, if you own your own practice and you want to organize like your team to go volunteering somewhere, I can definitely connect you to the organizations that I work with. We can help you plan it. It's also on our website. We can design a trip for you. Because like I said, everyone wants different things. And we need to be able to provide that. But I truly believe once you start volunteering, you're going to want to keep doing it, and you're going to want to do more of it. It's like a cool
concept. You're kind of like a dental traveling agency. Like not.
I actually love planning. Yeah.
Oh God, giving back.
And we don't really, this is fun for me. I'm one of those weird people who love planning travels for fun. And, when we plan a trip for you, we just ask that you donate to the nonprofit, and that donation's going right back to the local, to the clinic partners that we go to, because right now they do need a lot of help. For example, like I said, one of them already closed down because there's just not enough funds, because they rely on volunteer dentists so much. But
that's incredible.
I just love travel planning, and especially right now.
That's so amazing. And you know what? That's what the gift of right now is although, I don't know, for me, it's definitely over. I've been back to work for 8 weeks hardcore. And I'm like, where did that time go? And how did I have so much time? I know,
right?
Home, but obviously we're deep and down in it, in the mouse, like, working like we used to. So time, I don't feel like time is on my side anymore. But what I loved having time was letting the creative juices flow and plan things and figure out ways to step in and help others. In dentistry, again, because I have my other business, like you're doing this too, and this feeds our creative souls for giving back. I'm trying to empower dentists as well to step out and step into, I feel like insurance here in the States is something very different than Canada. And, I just feel like it's a ball and chain for a lot of dentists. And, to become free of that, it's like they've got to step into social media and things, and dentists are still so far back. So for me, like you with your nonprofits, for me, it's like this heart pull to really help empower dentists to step into social media and try to hold their hand and help them grow. Because my practice, I don't do marketing. Like my practice, my big veneer cases that come in, weekly are from Instagram and from social media. And it's amazing. But I loved having that time. I loved having the time to organize things and like come up with things that could help, you know? And
no, I agree. There's some dentists who don't even have a website.
I know, or not a mobile friendly website, or if they do have a website, which most of them do, they have stock images. And I'm like, like in today's world where culture is everything and how people feel and time is valuable, like they're going to land on you and make that decision in 2 minutes flat. They're also going to scroll down on your website to look at your Instagram, to feel the culture. So I keep banging my head, but I'm not going to stop, because, when you have a passion for something, you just keep going. And eventually, like I said, dentists, I hope all dentists, like I said, step into social media. I hope all dentists do, travel with you and go, on a trip to give back. That should be on a bucket list item, hands down.
I hope so. Yeah.
you know, for everybody, because, again, to our point, I guess we should kind of close with that life is too short.
Agree.
So for
you never know what's going to happen.
You know,
so take the chance while you can.
Take the chance, go and see other countries, you know, travel, give back. Yes, it just will fill your heart for sure. So you can find you, like I said, we'll put everything there, but Instagram, you're growing that, your brand new website, and they can reach out, DM you, email you.
I'd love that. I'd love to connect with anybody. It's great meeting new dentists who have similar passions on Instagram. Like I said, I spoke to Dr. Jessica Metcalf, and it's just so many amazing women out there.
Beyond.
And men.
It's it's funny. There are men, but like, I think we can speak to the women and be okay with that. I have one guy and he's like, I want to be part of the girl gang, like dental girl gang. And he sent me a picture of him in his pink coat. And he's like, hey, I'm here. And I'm like, I get it. And I don't mean to be women empowerment by any means, but I think it's okay for us all to kind of choose.
Celebrate that.
Celebrate it. And I just think as dentists, we work alone and solo. So many of us are solo practitioners and not sharing these amazing wins and things. So if we can share amongst ourselves to get the word out, and in feature, you know, and like I said, scream it from the rooftops. That's what we need to do for sure. So I will do that for you. And any of you listening out there, check out what she's doing, share the love. You know, if you can repost something from her to share it amongst other dentists, like I said, it really could actually refuel somebody that's really, you know, in dentistry in a stale place.
Yes.
That could
burnout.
be the gift.
It can help.
They give themselves to, like you said, remembering back when and why. For sure.
For me, that really made me feel so much happier as a dentist, and it made me feel more proud to be a dentist after my volunteer trip. Because sometimes, you know, I heard your podcast about that one unappreciative patient who would complain, and it would just like torture your soul. And this just does the complete opposite. It like fills you up and makes you so happy. Exactly.
Because unfortunately, I said so many of those can take you down, and you just need one trip that will absolutely light that fire again. And you'll come back with new eyes and look at people differently. And you'll also realize that shit doesn't matter. Like, honestly, like things, you know, the little things that get us so caught up in the practice, or the negative people that come through, you know what, you don't know what happened in their day. Like, let it fly, let it roll. Don't let it, you know, ice chip at you, essentially. So, well, good stuff. I loved having you today. So I appreciate you for what you're doing. And like I said, we will definitely put this out to the universe, and I definitely want to accompany you on a trip. So I will be standing by and watching. Like I said,
I'll let you know.
Yes,
I'll let you know when we have a trip.
Yes, please, because I will. I'll put it out there. And like I said, I want to join. And if you do the thing with the kids, I'm there. You know, let's do it for sure. So
sounds
with
great.
that being said, thank you so much. And we will, everyone, just head over and give her a follow so you can see where her next destination for her nonprofit traveling is. Thank you
so much.